I'm gonna call the meeting to order. We're up and running, Kyle, on Zoom. Welcome to our guests. And I'm gonna start with the pledge, the welcome and the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, Mr. Green. Meredith.
Here.
Dave. Here. And I'm here. Niffy is excused. He has an excused absence. He could not join us. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? I think, Dave, you had a few items.
No,
No? No?
hold on.
Well, I'd like to discuss the election a little bit,
Okay.
Okay.
and I'd like to ask for some clarification on the errors.
Okay.
Oh, that was something that Dave had sent me, okay. And discrepancies, how about that?
Where do we,
Budget.
okay, where do we want to put that? What was the first one? A discussion of the election under new business?
Yeah.
It's actually, we'll make it
So 5.4.
5.4. And then the other one was,
Budget discrepancies,
okay,
5.5.
5.5. All right. Are there any conflicts of interest of the board related to an agenda item? No.
Nope.
Approval of, we have two sets of minutes to approve. The December 5th, I'm asking for approval of the minutes for the December 5th meeting that were published on the website.
I move that we approve the December minutes.
I'll second that. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Hey,
No,
All right, that's a tie vote. It does not pass. We'll bring it back next month.
Wait a second, I have to find my notes.
That's December 5th ones. The January 20th minutes were also published. That was from the special meeting that was held on the 20th. Motion to approve those minutes from January 20th.
we have a discussion on that?
Well, let's have a motion and then we can discuss it.
We need a motion first. I move that we approve the minutes.
And I'll second it. Go ahead, Steve.
Why did we have a meeting 3 days before a meeting? What? was there some kind of-
Niffy, no, I'm gonna tell you why. Okay, Niffy realized that there was gonna be a problem for him attending this meeting, and he was very interested in the election contract, and he called the special meeting. Any board member, any director can call a special meeting. It has to be noticed, and it has to have an agenda. And that's why it was called
2 days or 3 days before, it doesn't matter.
72 hours, 72 hours.
And the other thing is, it was misadvertised. There was errors in its advertising.
There was a slight error because there was a confusion about Niffy's use of military time. So some of us took it to mean 7 p.m. and some of us took it to mean 5 p.m. And it was on the front page of the website, it was one thing, and on the other,
Agenda.
on the agenda, it was the other thing. However, when two people signed in at 5 o'clock and realized that nobody else was there, including you, including Dave. And David already said that he wouldn't be able to attend.
Right.
But suddenly we realized that there was this miscommunication over the time. And we said, okay, we'll change it to 7. And that took about 10 minutes while we were all online talking about it. And at 5 Yeah, 10 after 5,
Nobody.
the front page on the website was also changed to be 7 o'clock. So we fixed the problem as fast as we could. That was the miscommunication.
Thus, it didn't comply with meeting rules.
No, it's not true. It's an honest error.
It was just a mistake.
And there are no rules.
All right.
Correct on the
uh,
agenda.
Okay, we have a motion on the January 20th minutes in a second. I'm going to call the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Okay.
Okay, tie vote fails. Bring it back next month. The treasurer's report, our
Hold
treasurer.
on, I'm gonna go ahead and vote aye on that motion.
Or maybe you don't mind.
Is that you, Niffy?
Hello?
Hello? Okay,
Yes, that's,
go ahead.
Huh.
Oh. You want to go ahead with the treasurer's report, Niffy? He's not able to hear me.
I can't.
Yeah, it's not.
Awesome. Finding speed.
Yeah, you're all garbled, Niffy. Anything, Kyle?
No, nothing coming through.
Can he,
I think the way it works, maybe in just a bad spot perception.
move on? Come back to,
We can come back to the treasurer's report if he comes back.
okay,
But everything was, actually, there's copies of the treasurer's report on the back table for anyone who's interested, and it was posted on the website.
right.
I can. Well, we can do it later. Let's just do it later.
Okay. Kyle, do you want to go ahead with your report while we're trying to find Niffy?
Sure. Okay. Pull it up. So. All right, so we'll start with the regional and county stuff. Earlier this month, we found out that JeffCom was going under restructuring of their kind of senior level staff. As they were transferring over between their old building, which was at West Metro headquarters, to their new building, which is off of Indiana. With the physical move, they restructured their senior staff. And when they did that, they assigned all of the Northwest area fire departments our own agency rep. So we're sharing an agency rep with, I believe it's us, Coal Creek, Golden, Arvada, and maybe Foothills that has one person that's a direct contact for us. It's going to be really helpful for us simplifying communications. We just have one person to go through instead of, one person for GIS, one person for communications, or for other needs. So it should help us get any new projects that we're doing with JeffCom done a little bit more succinctly, and also any communications that we have to them for any issues that we're experiencing on the field, whether it be like a radio tech issue or a communications issue with dispatch. We have that defined person. I'm actually gonna take this down so you guys can hear me. They have a defined person to talk to. So we're excited about having that. They are planning on moving from the current operations building, which is in West Metro's headquarters, to the new building in the middle of February, which was they announced at the previous board meeting last week. Their leadership staff already actually moved to the new building, and they're just finishing out the build out. It's going to be an incredible state-of-the-art dispatch facility. We're really looking forward to having that in the county. And that's just going to be a good thing for everybody. The Arvada Fire Fairmount Fire merger was completed on January 1st. So there's no longer a Fairmount Fire. Arvada Fire is officially our neighbor to the northeast. None of our mutual aid agreements with Fairmount Fire changed with Arvada Fire for 12 months. So we're going to relook at our mutual aid agreements with now what is now Arvada Fire. The so the previous mutual aid agreements we had with Fairmount Fire that are now under Arvada Fire will be renegotiated, relooked at the end of this year, once we have better understanding of their new layout structure, with staffing and an ambulance being at Station 58, and how that works, and see if there's things that we need to fine tune operationally with them. When they did take over Fairmount, they did take over the ambulance transport for that area. So ambulance/medic 23 has now been moved to a daytime post in Golden. It's being daytime posted at Golden Fire Station 24. It's currently staffed 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. There's possibility that may change in the future based off of call volumes throughout our system, and to better meet the higher call volume times. But in general, it's been a really good change for both the medic crews and also for the fire departments. So we're really happy with that, and those changes. Admin stuff, the website update project going over to the state website system is nearing its stages of or final stages of completion. So our contractor, which is Cobweb Solutions, is done with basically the very up to the very, very finest of details of the website. And then we'll transition or duplicate the data from our current website to the other website, and then it will go live. And then we will decommission the previous website, and that should happen sometime in the next 60 days based off of our current timeline. The award dinner was held on January 11th. It was an awesome success. Huge thank you to the auxiliary for making it such a special night for us. The following firefighters received awards. Firefighter Brock Castaldia received Recruit of the Year. Firefighter of the Year was firefighter Nicole McDaniel. And the Chief's Award went to Lieutenant Sam Patton. Grant updates, SIPA grant, you guys have heard this from me before, so I'm going to kind of skip over this. We're nearing that project completion for the website, being paid for by that grant. The direct distribution of SCBAs, we did receive the SCBAs in bottles the very last week of December. When we receive SCBAs in bottles, they have to go through an in-service process. So all the packs have to be tagged, they have to be cataloged, they have to be then tested, and then all the same thing with our bottles. Our bottles were previously flow tested before they came to us, but they have to be tagged and cataloged. We also had to make some updates to our RIT packs, which are essentially our larger tanks for in-structure rescue, to make sure that they're compatible with the new packs. So those RIT packs went down to get fixed, to make sure that Scott to make sure they were fixed and compatible. I believe they came back today. When I last talked to Chief Brill, that was potentially going to happen today. So they're not back today; they're coming back tomorrow morning.
What's it?
It's a rescue intervention team. Essentially, it's a pack that's designed for a firefighter that's down. Another team goes in to help the firefighter that's down. They bring a big bottle with them so that we can essentially provide more air for them, so they're not constrained to just what's on their back. Let's see here. Operations, we saw a significant pickup of call volume and severity at the end of the year, between our board meeting at the beginning of December and then the close of the year. We saw, I believe it was 15 calls in roughly 20 days. So we ended with 110 calls for the year. There was a bunch of just really more severe calls during that time. January 1st saw a final switch over from emergency reporting to ESO Suite. So all of our online presence that has to do with operations, with the exception of paging, has now been moved over to ESO. So that includes all of our fire reporting, all of our EMS reporting, asset management, personnel management, truck checks, training management, shift management, and then also back-end reporting is now all moved over to ESO, including all of our plugs into the state repository for EMS documentation and the national repositories for fire reporting. It was a huge, long project. It took us about a year to get everything all the way converted over and get everybody trained. But we're having really good feedback from our line staff regarding its utility and its usability, and the fact that everything is in one place. One sign-on for us to be able to do all of these things is a huge benefit for us. And it really is going to hopefully put out even more detail than we already have from data. As such, when we made that switch, we intentionally made that switch over on January 1st at midnight and 1 minute, so that we would have a data cutoff from 2024 to 2025. That data from 2024 did migrate to ESO for historical purposes, but we pulled our final data for the year, which was attached to this report from emergency reporting. This is the last time that we will see data pulls that look like that. Moving forward, there'll be a completely different format with some slightly different measured variables from ESO. They're a little bit more constrained and pre-built. It's a little bit less custom, but we should be able to get the main points that we get out of the emergency reporting data from ESO, and potentially some more metrics that we're not currently looking at. So that's been a great change. Our first UTV, the district purchased from Peak Honda World was purchased, and then the initial outfit of the vehicle was completed on last Friday. It's still sitting at Peak because the auxiliary graciously approved the funding of the purchase of a second UTV for the other side of the district. And it's going to be outfitted identically to the first UTV. So there's the way that the UTV's upfitting and in-service process is working is that we bought the UTVs from Peak, and then we also bought some Honda specific upfits that are happening at the dealer. So dealer bolt-on purchases. That includes a winch, a roof, some extra door panels, and windscreen, and then some additional upfitting for potentially putting a heater in the future. When it's done there, once we finally get that second unit to the dealership, which they're having a hard time tracking down that second unit, they will upfit it. Then both units will go to Avtech in Golden, where they'll get their radio and light upfitting. And then after they're done with radio and lights, then they're going to come into the district and they'll receive their final accessories and graphics all underneath the original approved budget and the auxiliary budget that was approved, and that'll happen in district, and then they will go into service. As part of the UTV project, the lieutenants have identified the need for additional storage at both Station 81 and 82. Basically just looking for a designated place for those UTVs that isn't going to cause any impedance on vehicles that we currently have. These ones are a little bit longer than the one we already have, so fitting it in 81 isn't a great spot, or in 82. Theoretically, it could happen to keep the vehicle safe, but it would be a pretty big impedance on the function and flow of the station bays. So we're looking at the purchase or rent, either one of two different 20-foot containers. We'll put one at Station 81, one at Station 82. They'll function as UTV garage spaces. And then the back side of them will also function as additional storage for durable equipment that's not temperature sensitive. So things like tools, like dried hose. Those are really the two big things. Hose takes up a huge portion of the bay, Station 82. And then there's quite a lot of extra tools at 81. We need some space for extra lockers back there, and also at 82. So we're looking at being able to better house our new PPE and the stations and move that non-temperature sensitive materials out into that trailer or the roll-offs with the UTVs.
Question?
Yep.
Will that require more rodent proofing in these new containers?
Say it one more time.
Rodent.
The rodent proofing contract that we have would include that. They would just need to put like one bait station in each of the containers. I did talk to our guy who services the contract, and basically it's per address. So anything that we put at the address, it's covered. Whether it's for any type of pest, even if, for example, we talked about, just to answer your question or go off on a little bit of a tangent, let's say we had a different type of pest fleet, so we had a fly infestation. Even though it's not in the initial portions of our contract, which is mostly for rodent control, they can do fly abatement as part of our same contract without it really increasing our cost at all. So it's all part of that. The plan currently is that we will hopefully allocate the funds from the UTV sale of the current UTV and the trailer through a sealed bid process to fund the acquisition of these containers. especially if we're going to purchase them. Renting them is a relatively low cost. It's $150 roughly per unit per month. Purchasing them used was going to cost us about $7,500 for both of them. So 32 to 3,500 each. And we'll have more information on that after the UTVs are actually ready to come up. Personnel. So we had the award ceremony on January 11th, as we already talked about. At that award ceremony, our 7 recruits from 2024 were sworn into full duty as firefighters and EMTs, and they all meet the current job requirements set out by the job descriptions for their current roles, and they are now off of probation. So congratulations to all of the new fully sworn firefighters and EMTs. We also welcomed back firefighter Peter Mahar to the roster. He's a fully certified firefighter after a leave of absence for extenuating family circumstances during that ceremony. We also, as we came to the end of the year, made the HR decision that we had 2 firefighters that were rostered that needed to be de-rostered, and spoke to those folks and have removed them from our roster as of January 1st. So they are no longer firefighters with Golden Gate. But we do thank them for the service that they provided to the district. However, on the same token, we actually brought in a whole new recruit class on the beginning of January. The report says we brought in 8 new recruits. Unfortunately, we did have 1 recruit that did drop earlier this week. So we actually have 7 recruits. 4 of the 7 come to us as full laterals. They are fully certified firefighters from either out of state or in different places in Colorado that all come with EMS certifications as well. And then on top of those 4, we have an additional 2 that have EMS certifications or potential or higher medical training from other places as well. So we only have 2 new firefighters that are coming to us with basically that are completely green off of the street. So we did bring all these new firefighters on. The great thing for us is that we're not going to be worried about the financial cost of sending them through an academy of EMT school for all these people. And they're coming to us with experience from other places and bringing that knowledge here. So with that, we now have an operational staff of 28 and 3 support staff. This is approaching, if not has met, what we targeted as our essentially our target volume of firefighters, our carrying level for firefighters for the district. So that was a huge win for us, and we're really looking forward to moving forward with those folks and the things that they're going to bring to the department. Support staff is our we have our financial folks, we have our community outreach coordinator, we have our family information officer, so who does our internal family communications out, and then we have 1 open spot, which was for our HR person. So support staff in the command structure is 4.
Those are firefighters also.
No, we have 1 person that serves in a dual role.
Who's in the financial is not a firefighter.
No, so we have 1 person that does. Chris Creech is both an EMT, wildland firefighter, and serves as the bookkeeper. And then we have our separate oversight from our accountant, who is not a firefighter or associated with the district other than being our bookkeeper.
So that's the support staff.
No, we're not calling that. That's a separate outsourcing. Is the accountant. Let's see here. If I found my spot here. Due to the increase needed for training due to the growth of the department, Lieutenant Phillip, who was previously our quartermaster, was moved into training under Battalion Chief Brill. He will also remain the lieutenant of Station 82 and supervise shift-based firefighters, which was his previous role. And then with Lieutenant Phillips moving into training, the position of quartermaster was reassigned to firefighter McDaniel, who is our resident firefighter at Station 82. Trainings. As we begin to onboard the new recruits, we're evaluating the outside training needs for them for the year, as well as our current firefighters. We are going to send a few of them through a Firefighter 1 Academy that were not previously certified with Pleasant View. We also have 1 firefighter that was not an all hazards firefighter in the district that's also planning to attend that academy. And they will go through that with Pleasant View as a joint academy, which starts in March and runs through June. We also have several firefighters that are going to be attending EMT school this year. And we're working with them to find appropriate educational programs that meet their needs as well as the district needs. It's kind of an interesting sorting process for us, but we've found a couple of successful paths for them to move forward. Stations, the pest abatement efforts continue to be really successful across all 3 stations. We have had we've had no damage or signs of mice in particular in any of the 3 stations. Considering the significant damage that the stations and equipment had sustained from pests, we're super pleased with the progress that we've seen in the program in a really short time. The 2025 CWPP update is on schedule. We're seeing really solid engagement from the stakeholder group, and the team at Ember Alliance presented preliminary fire behavior modeling data, as well as evacuation modeling earlier this month. The preliminary modeling and mapping processes have already really exposed significant deficits in the 2011 CWPP. Even the way that the maps were done, things that were included in maps, where our plan units were so significantly out of date and were not encompassing all of the homeowners in Golden Gate. And the modeling wasn't fully encompassing. And then there was actually pretty much no evacuation modeling, especially under current evacuation modeling, that coincides with that fire behavior modeling done. And it really reaffirms the importance of this process for all that we've involved, especially considering recent national events and the planning that comes from that and the data that comes from this study and what it will mean for the district. The only other changes that I have in this, other than for the likely future actions and events on the 3-month horizon, is we will be having a community meeting here at the Grange in April. We don't have a defined day for that yet. It will be a community CWPP planning meeting where there will be events or essentially activities where people can come in and fill out different information about their homes, their concerns, about fire mitigation. Just allows us to collect data from the community and also allows people to engage. It will not be a presentation, however. It will not be a place for people to get up and talk. It'll be where we're just coming in and collecting data from the community and engaging and talking about defensible space and all kinds of great stuff with that. We're also going to be taking some strategic planning steps during that meeting, and also in taking some information for creating a future strategic plan for the district, separate from the CWPP. We also have the commencement of the Combined Firefighter 1 Academy, which will start in March. And then the only other change that we've seen in here is that there's been some interest from folks in the district of standing up a volunteer mitigation division underneath the fire department. We are currently investigating what that looks like, whether it's under the fire department or tangential to the fire department. And it has been done in our neighboring districts. There is one in Gilpin and there's also one in Netherlands. So we have 2 models to follow. But there are some folks that are interested in standing that up. So we're going to make sure that that happens, hopefully in the next 6 months, that that's put together.
There's also some informal groups that have formed in Cold Creek.
Really? That way I don't think I know about the Cold Creek ones. I just know about the Saws and Slaws, which is in Netherlands, and then the other one that's in Gilpin.
Something like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think it's an idea that's taking traction.
What is it exactly besides trimming forest fuels and complying with the defensible space, which is already in place?
So the groups that are, I think it depends on what the individual group defines themselves as. I think the one in Netherlands, I believe, is doing more of like helping folks to do defensible space that don't have the physical ability to do so, or the financial ability to have someone paid to come do it. Or their alternative model is that they are coming together to create to finish community projects. So let's say there is a identified evacuation route that people feel uncomfortable with. It's a volunteer group that's going in to at least help identify partial or parts of the fuels in that route. maybe not really big fuels. They're not going down and taking like huge trees in the roadway and things like that, but they're limbing trees, taking down small trees and getting them chipped up or removed. So it's really just kind of a community activation. And I think what it looks like really, it remains to be seen, to be honest with you. But I think I think it's a great idea, and I support the folks who are doing it, or interested in standing it up, and we're gonna support them as a department.
Probably work because there's a lot of people who don't do it, and if they get it done for free, they probably leave.
Yeah, I think, and like I said, I don't know how if the folks that are doing and these other models, if they're doing it for free, if it's for a nominal donation to whatever 501(c)(3) organization that's going in. But in general, just getting more people involved in it, we can't, there's nothing that we're gonna see negative from that, right? I think it's gonna be good. Yeah. That's all I got.
Thank you. Any questions?
I have a question.
Mhm.
About the volunteer communication. Are there expenses tied to that?
I think it really, again, depends on how you do it. If, for example, it was a tangential organization that would want to stand up as its own nonprofit, there would be, just from forming, whether they want to be able to provide their own tools. One of the models I saw, they have a trailer that they put together with volunteer funding, and it's got saws and PPE and things like that in it. Or if it's people bringing their own equipment and standing it up on their own in that way, and then the costs are less. Whether if we did it underneath the fire department, that's probably the spot where we would have the least amount of cost. But again, we're just the very, very beginning stages of this and figuring it all out. Good question, though.
Community reports, Dee Dee, you wanna go for auxiliary?
Sure. Dee Dee Ramstetter for the auxiliary. So our mail-in campaign, $6,300. And thank you notes are going out as we speak. And the only other thing that you've already touched on, the auxiliary funded with the UTV for the district. And also we funded, I don't know the correct name, slide out drawers for some of the trucks to organize the equipment and the bags. So you get the idea. Sure. So thanks to the auxiliary and the community for your donations that we're able to do that.
Thank you.
Wonderful. That's all I have. Oh, we are gonna have a auxiliary meeting March 13th. It is an all-member meeting. We want to see new faces there. At 5 o'clock. So.
And where? Where?
Here,
Okay,
here at the Grange. And that's all I have.
okay. Grange, Miss Terry?
Yeah, hi, let me see here, one remark on the fire department, we did complete all of our Firewise data for 2024, even though we do not comply with that certification because we don't have an updated CWPP. We decided to go ahead and collect that data in hopes that when we do get the new CWPP, we're working it. We're not dropping the ball on the 2024. So a lot of mitigation. The numbers were off the chart. So I have a nice thick file with all that, and Brill and Battalion Chief Brill and I will be getting together to compile that and go ahead and submit it, even though we know we're going to be denied because of the outdated CWPP. And the Grange, I just pulled the trigger. We ordered lights, all new LED lights in this building. They'll be installed in late February, 1st of March. And a couple of other updates, and I think that's it. That's all we have for the Grange. Thank you.
All right, under old business, we have 4.1, a resolution to appoint Dave Primer as a sergeant of arms. Do you want to read that resolution, or it's published on the website?
Published on the website.
Very short. Did you want to make a motion?
Oh,
What?
You need
Yeah.
to make a motion.
I'll
to
make the
approve it.
motion, I become the sergeant of arms. That's
I hear a
posted on the
second.
website.
Do I hear a second?
A second.
All right, is there discussion?
My understanding of the position of sergeant at arms is that it is undefined unless it is defined. And because the resolution does not really define the responsibilities and when the sergeant at arms would do something. And furthermore, according to information that I've seen in Robert's rules, which vaguely talks about sergeants at arms, but doesn't define them. But it does say that it's a position that is in the bylaws. We don't have it in the bylaws. It would need to be in the bylaws. So that's my comment.
Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
Nay. So that's again, a tie. Oh, is Niffy
That's
on?
a nay. Yeah, I have a nay as well on that.
All right.
Oh,
thank-
you're here.
Yeah,
Have you been on all the time?
okay, thank you.
It's in the
Niffy.
bylaws, you have to stay connected for the whole meeting.
That's completely false.
No, it's not.
No,
I read it. It's in there.
okay. Does that count as an absence, is what you're saying? Because Mr. Green left.
No, it's just,
It's in the bylaws. If you're gonna be on the Zoom or the electronic connection, you have to stay connected for the whole meeting.
Okay.
it does not say that. That's false, and that's also not true according to state law for FTA.
Don't interrupt him, Dave. All right. Okay, the next resolution.
So,
Oh, I'm sorry, that's
okay, then it
That's
does
it.
not pass.
it does not pass. 5.1 under new business. That's a censure coming from Steve Green for Niffy and myself. Do you want to make a
I have
motion?
no expectations this will pass because you guys will vote always against
Well,
anything,
do you-
even if it's dishonestly
Do you
voting, but
wanna-
I'll read it anyway.
Do you want to, okay,
At the October 2024 board meeting, at audio time 1:13:04, board member O'Rourke stated he did not need permission to go on my land. My land's fenced, it's posted no trespassing. He argued with me and said he needed no permission. He made this statement knowingly and without permission or consent of me, the property owner, and attempted to organize other board members to trespass with him on the property. I specifically told him to stay. So it's a violation of criminal code of Colorado and of our bylaws. During that time, you, Deb, encouraged other people and also said that I trespassed. You offered no substantiating evidence. You just threw it in out of the blue.
I spoke out of turn.
You spoke out of turn?
Yes.
You might have. I mean, thank you for admitting that. So also at the October 2024 board meeting, Mr. O'Rourke at minute 1:13:04, right about the same time of the recording, he falsely accused board member Dave Trimmer and myself trying to defraud the district of $20,000. This fraudulent and unsubstantiated claim by O'Rourke was made in relation to ongoing discussions about fixing the drainage on my property behind Station 3. These actions, as well as the fraudulent statements and false accusations by Deb Curley and Nick Golly O'Rourke are a violation of district bylaws. So that's the reason that that censure is written. However, I will add, I have no desire to censure anybody, but you guys have been playing the censure game for 2 years now. Censure, censure, censure. So I figured I'd throw one back at you, but I'm sure you will, too. Even though you did say it, it's on recording.
Did you want to make a motion?
I motion that this censure be voted on.
Okay, is there a
I'll
second?
second it.
Right. Any other discussion on this?
I think if you're a part of the censure, you shouldn't be able to vote.
Well, you voted on your last.
Yeah, but I voted as a joke. I voted in favor of
Well, you voted.
censoring.
I'm gonna
No,
vote as a joke too.
I don't, you're being censored. You should-
Point of order.
I'm gonna call
Or-
the motion.
We don't need to wait for
You don't need a point of order.
I'm gonna call the motion. All in favor of, this resolution? All in favor of Mr. Green's resolution of censure?
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay.
Nay.
Nay.
Obviously, you would vote to convict yourselves of trespass, even though you
Well,
stated.
they didn't actually trespass ever. No,
Well, I don't-
nobody ever trespassed,
I have no
Steve.
idea if you did.
That's what they
Okay,
said.
let's move on.
Okay, we're moving on. Thank you. Resolution requiring itemized transaction.
Should have been able to vote.
I'm sorry, what?
Should not have been able to vote.
You voted.
No, that's not true. Not,
You
you
did.
might have written that down, but I
Alright.
jokingly said, sure, censure me again.
Resolution,
Point of order, can we move on, please?
yes. The next resolution is coming from Mr. Primer. Resolution to require itemized transactions, credit cards, bank statements to be presented at meetings.
Yes,
Do I have a motion and then we'll discuss it?
make a motion to receive all transactions from the finances
Is there a second?
for
Second.
board members and public.
Okay, discussion, Dave, go ahead.
Yep, under the resolution, let's see, I've been in contact with Jeffrey Roberts at the Colorado Freedom of Information Coalition. And he agrees with me about being able to receive all of the transactions from a board member, elected, and the public should be allowed to see all transactions as well.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go ahead and make a point of order.
Point
That
of
this motion, this has already been discussed and voted down once, and according to the rules that we adopted for this session, if a motion has been brought up and voted down, it's not up for discussion again unless somebody who was on the prevailing side decides to bring it back.
The point of order, this is on the agenda and we've got to discuss.
Excuse me, the parliamentarian who's the chair will rule on whether or not my point of order is proper, and then we'll proceed. There's no discussion.
I've got a rule on the point of order, Dave.
Okay, roll on it, please.
All right. Niffy, it is correct that we have discussed this numerous times before. The issue is that the credit card statements are not part of the public record.
It should
The
be public money.
The transaction, can I speak, please? The transaction list that is listed on the website every month with the financial report itemizes every transaction that occurs. If you will look at this month's transaction list, it's even more detailed than ever before. So
President
if you-
Curley, are you ruling as to whether or not this needs to be voted on again or not? I didn't hear that. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, so there's no reason for this resolution, and it has been.
Time to discuss since you had the time.
No,
Okay.
there's no opportunity to discuss it. If I've made a point of order that this has already been voted on, then there's no
Right.
discussion. And that was the whole point of changing our rules, is that we don't
Right.
discuss things that have already been voted on. And I would like us to move on.
Only one person speaks at a time. Okay? Niffy, I'm gonna let, one more comment. Steve, you want to comment? No?
Yes.
Okay,
These
Hold
are these are expenses made by this fire department and they're paid with public funds.
yes.
The transaction list, we have no idea if it's complete or not. If we do not see the statements, we don't know. And they're paid with public funds. Why would you not let people see these? What are you
Because they are.
hiding?
There's nothing being hidden,
Well,
Steve,
that's what you
everything.
say. There is something being hidden. You're saying it. I'm
So,
not.
Ms. Curley, this is why I'm just
Okay, Niffy,
repeating my point of
Niffy.
order. I'm calling a
Niffy.
point of order, which allows me to interrupt. And my point of order is, again, that we've already voted on this. There's no discussion. We need to move on. If you agree that we've already discussed and voted on this, then it doesn't get to be brought back up again.
Point your order.
We're done.
I didn't say.
This matter will not go away.
It will not go away.
Okay,
These are
Well,
public
Brennan-
funds and you're hiding things.
there's nothing being hidden,
Why don't you
Steve,
release the credit card statement?
because there's personal
You are hiding
information
things.
on the credit cards, you know that.
You're hiding. things.
I wanna
Okay,
see
the
all
next
the-
item, all right. Moving on.
Wait one second.
We're not-
These are public funds. It's not personal. There shouldn't be any personal information or funds spent on with public money.
Read the financial reports.
Point of order, can we move on, please?
Resolution,
Okay,
point,
fine.
this has already been
There's
decided.
already a motion. on the table.
5.3. There was an improper motion because it's already been handled.
No, it's not improper. This is a matter of taxpayers' money.
Point of order, can we move on, please?
We cannot.
5.3, again, this is you, Dave. I think you're asking to require full board approval for legal expenditures?
Totally.
Really?
All five have
Okay.
to agree on if.
We have a motion.
Lawyer.
Can we have a motion, please? And then we'll have discussion.
Make a motion that all five board members agree to hire a lawyer. So we have to
Is there a
have all
second?
five all five yays to get the motion passed. For,
I'll second it because I know what Dave wants. He wants honesty and transparency.
Right,
Yep.
okay, and
So far-
any board, okay, go ahead.
So far, lawyers have been hired quietly, not at these meetings.
Point of order, was there an actual motion and a second?
Yeah, there has to be a
we're
motion.
discussing.
Is
No,
there
we have to have a motion.
Motion and a second.
You use your motion to hide things.
No, the
Yes,
motion
yes.
is for discussion, Steve.
You use your.
We have a motion.
Madam Chair, I would state if there's no motion and no second, that we move on to the next item.
Is
No,
there a second on the motion?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. And anybody else? I'll call the motion,
You mean, is there anybody else to discuss?
to discuss.
Okay.
No? Yes,
Yes,
okay,
because it requires a vote of the board to expend money. It does not require a vote of the board. I mean, what I'm saying is, does not require full approval, but board has to approve it. Does not require 5 unanimous votes to approve it. That is what we have now, and I think it's fine. That's my statement.
I disagree with what you said. Because that's not what we have.
That's your purpose.
Point of order, Mr. Green's already had an opportunity to speak, and the other members of the board who may have wished to speak have not yet had their
I'm going to
chance.
call the motion. All in favor?
I,
All opposed?
Nay.
Nay. All right,
We'll change that motion next, but it
Okay.
still should be approved by the board. Next time will be 3 votes, and that's what it should be. Done here. at-
5.4, again, I think was this Dave? Discussion, or Steve, election, you wanted some questions
Yeah.
about the election?
I have some discussion about it.
This is just discussion, there's no motion. Okay,
And could Nippy be muted so he doesn't interrupt constantly? Is that possible?
Then Dave might say he's not attending the meeting, so let's.
Well,
let it
they
go.
mute me when I do this.
okay, go ahead, what's,
You're gonna keep Nippy, I have this.
I was being, I was.
okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. 3 members of this board spent $7,000.
Point of order,
Wait,
if
it doesn't-
there's not a motion, then we don't have discussion on something.
Well, yeah, no, Niffy, we can discuss it. What did you do? Why did you do that? Goes like this. No, you can't.
3 members on this board spent $7,000 more than needed for mail-in ballot
Oh,
election,
okay.
as opposed to a polling place election. Mail-in ballots are a remnant of COVID. Mail-in ballots create all sorts of problems, as we saw in 2018.
Madam Chair, I'm gonna call a point of order again. If there's not a motion and the decision has already been decided, why are we discussing it? There's no action to be taken
He
here.
put it, Niffy, he put it on the agenda. Let him have his say. Okay, just briefly.
As we saw in 2018, ballots were not received by all the voters. Ballots were sent to the wrong address, ballots were improperly filled out, and ballots were returned to the wrong address in 2018. Lots of people said this. These problems do not exist when a polling place is used. Plus, it's $7,000 cheaper, it's half price. We have the Grange. And until recently, all voting would take place there without these problems. Community members could make it a pleasant experience also by providing drinks or snacks or just community camaraderie. Mail-in ballots separate the community as opposed to bringing it together. A polling place election would have saved the taxpayers $7,000.
No, that's,
It's
sorry.
for 3 members of this board to choose mail-in ballots shows their disregard for taxpayer money.
Thank you.
I
Mary?
have something to say, which is it would not save us $7,000. We had 2 different estimates from Circuit Rider, one for mail-in ballots only, and the other for a designated polling place election, which also requires us to compile extensive voter lists of people who wish to vote. What's the term?
In person.
No, who wish to receive, basically are going to be absent and require, what's that term?
Absentee ballots.
Absentee ballot. If they're going to be absent, they have to be recognized, they have a list has to be compiled, and anyone who wants to have a mail-in ballot can have that option. That's state law. So her estimates for a in-person plus those required mail-in options was $12,200. The option for the mail-in only was $13,725 for a difference of $1,525, not $7,000.
I found her. That's not the case.
And
And that's not the document
You
she
did-
showed me.
That's what's online.
These documents came from, I saw different documents.
It's online.
They're on the website, Steve.
Okay,
Well,
Can't help it if
that's
you don't
me.
look.
I look at the website all the time.
5.5, we're moving on, Steve.
I
Okay.
found them. I discussed
I know,
them
and
at
that was a
length.
good thing.
That was for 2 years ago.
It was a
And
good
we
thing.
appreciate that you made that contact.
Yes.
I
I
contacted them
don't agree. with
I
what you
got-
said on the script.
here.
Just because of this paper, I looked at other documents were sent to me.
Please,
Half price. Okay, it's done.
Okay, I think this was, I don't know whose item this was, budget
It was Steve's.
discussion.
Steve,
What is
Steve?
it?
5.5, you wanted to say something about the budget, which DOLA has our budget, and any discrepancies or problems with the budget will be kicked back to us. It's done, okay? Oops,
Well, okay, it's done, except you guys took the books.
okay.
You did.
The next item
You
is,
can- Oh, God, all you want back there. This is true.
the next item is public comment. Anybody?
Sure.
Terry?
All of this fun stuff that was on the, website, just for this month. Transaction list, the chief's report, financials minutes. And I also printed out a recap of everything that was posted in 2024. It is extensive. I commend this board for the transparency that they have shown. I also, well, I also would like to move the public comments to after the chief's report. Also, I would like that to be discussed later on. And, Kyle, I think you need heaters in those ATVs, and that's all I have to say.
Anybody else?
I don't have a comment. I have questions under the financial report.
Okay,
So I don't know if that's.
you can say anything. You say anything in public comment.
you can make a comment and you can ask a specific question.
I spent hours watching and catching up and reading, trying, slowly entering into what is happening in our fire district. I not participated, so I'm playing the game of catch up, and I completely totally own that.
Could you state your name? for
I'm
just-
Carla Braun.
So for
No, I
everybody to know.
appreciate it. Thank you. I guess my question falls. I did review financial documentation and it's based off of comments that have been made over months and months, right? Doing my due diligence as a taxpayer. That's just
Okay.
the way that's rated. But curious, when I was reviewing the financial documentation, we list out the credit cards, and I fully understand personal sensitive information and not sharing that information. I understand that completely working in government. My question is I struggle balancing what is shared in a month that says, what is this document called? Oh, there's one of them. I'm sorry. Should have been more prepared. Not the transaction list. It is the statement of the financial position.
Okay,
It lists out our credit cards, what we do, what we owe, and what we pay. They do not match what is on the bank statements. So as a taxpayer, and I understand the transaction list and it lists out everything, and I fully appreciate that. But I can't say with 100% clarity, this equals that. And the other thing I struggle with is in the September meeting, we shared a different transaction list. It's very similar to the one that's done every single month, but there's an additional column in that September. There was notes in there in a transaction list that was shared that says where it was charged, like if it was a credit card transaction. And for me, I was like, that clears up. So I have the document, but it's literally your transaction list. It lists every transaction that you made, your expenses and your revenue, but then it says where that expense came from. If it was on an Amazon, or if it was a credit card statement, or if it was a credit card purchase. And I wonder if using that as an additional column would relieve some of this tension of where they're being spent and how are they being spent. Just adding that layer of transparency. And I'm assuming that document came from the same place that our regular monthly one is coming from. So my question is, why can't we include that additional column that says exactly where it came from, that
Okay.
expense?
Yeah,
Ma'am, are you asking that question of a specific board member?
Yeah, Matthew, that's fine.
Yeah, I guess I might answer that as the treasurer. Producing that report took significantly more hours. And it's not automatically exported in the way that you're assuming. And I've made the argument that I believe we're providing an appropriate level of transparency, and our firefighters and our volunteers should be spending time on fighting fires and not necessarily just making transaction reports. And that it's in the meeting where I did produce redacted credit card statements, it was a give a mouse a cookie, and more questions came up that were, I would say, rude and accusatory and inaccurate. And I do not believe we'll ever be able to produce enough documentation to satisfy certain board members, and that we're not doing anything in the public interest by continuing to entertain it.
May I?
go ahead, Carla.
Say something. I fully understand that, and I fully understand being transparent, and I understand the firefighters' time is very valuable, and if it is not an easy exportable document, right? That we are writing the details down, you're sharing with the public, which I fully appreciate, understanding where something is being spent. What I am saying, and I understand that, but as a taxpayer, I think there's a problem that we are not willing to share information. And I understand redacting information takes time, and I fully understand that. The red flag for me as an outsider who does not attend these on a regular basis is that we are fighting amongst ourselves and we're not just sharing the data. If you share the data, there's no arguments. If I hear someone from the outside or a board member complaining about something, but you guys aren't backing it up with the data that says, no, here it is. This is 100% transparency. I have nothing to hide. I just don't understand why that is the contentious piece about sharing numbers, because numbers are numbers. Numbers are very clear. And if we're not sharing all of them, then I can't go through and say, well, no, you guys are doing exactly what you're supposed to do because these match and these match. Like, it's kind of good.
Terry?
Yes, I believe you can ask for specific things.
Yes.
through the Cora Act, and you have to pay for those. That's paying for the time, anything above and beyond. That is completely, any citizen in this district or anywhere can bill out a Cora, pay the fees, and has anybody done that for these issues that are not been proven yet?
Okay, can I reply? Can I reply? Or is
Are you
everybody get to
directing it?
speak and I can't reply?
Asking you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there was a request,
She's asking Deb.
yeah, but Deb talked and she's talking.
she's addressing me.
Then after you speak, Deb, may I speak?
No,
See, I can't speak at all. I'll see you
it's
guys
public
later.
comment.
There's no-
It's
It
public
doesn't
comment,
matter.
Steve.
Then
No,
you
it does
stand up.
matter. It
You're
does
not the
matter.
public. Why is it?
She's
everybody
the
gets to speak
public-
to me?
The public,
Yeah. As a public comment, she put her question.
Yes, but
To
Deb's
Deb.
not the public.
So please
Niffy's
be
not.
quiet and
No,
let Deb speak.
no, Dee Dee, stop shouting like that.
All right, I move to adjourn the meeting. Madam Chair, I wish for recognition and I move to adjourn the meeting.
I'd like to answer the question.
Can I speak?
There
after
was-
you, Deb?
There was a Cora
Deb, can I
request
speak after
and the
you?
money never came. It was a minimal charge, $90 as I recall. Isn't that right, Dave?
So you guys filled out, so there was.
They would have gotten every credit card statement redacted that they wanted.
Paid
No,
$90
right.
to help offset the cost of.
The accountant has to dig it out. Yeah,
Firefighters, it's free.
Oh, excuse me, no, singular, I
Is it-
apologize.
okay.
Now may I speak?
Thank you, Deb, for
Okay.
answering my question. The court
speak?
report was filled out and they did not write the check.
May it be noted, I'm not allowed to speak for the camera.
Okay.
Well, it's public comment. They can address
But you're
you.
not the
Somebody
public
wants,
and Nikki's not the public.
And we're.
They're the public.
officials,
But
we
you're
should
not
be
the
allowed
public,
to see
Nikki's
it.
not. You both get to speak, but I can't.
because they addressed me directly.
And we're elected
Okay.
officials, I should be allowed to.
It's a
see it.
scam.
These are-
That this meeting be adjourned.
I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Opposed? Thank you, folks.
It's the public.
Uh,